Emily always knows exactly how I like my soup, my mother-in-law Beatrice announced, pushing away the bowl I'd just placed in front of her. This is too salty, Clara, and the carrots are cut too thick. I can't believe you're a nurse and don't understand the importance of proper food preparation for someone recovering from surgery. I stood there in her pristine kitchen, still wearing my nursing scrubs from my morning shift, trying to keep my expression neutral. 3 weeks of round-the-clock care after her hip surgery, and nothing I did could measure up to her precious daughter Emily, who managed to stop by for exactly 45 minutes every Sunday with her perfectly manicured nails and designer outfits. I'm sorry, Beatrice. Let me make you another bowl, I offered, reaching for the rejected soup. My wedding ring caught the afternoon light, reminding me that today was supposed to be my 10th anniversary dinner with Ben. Instead, I was here, trading my vacation days to care for a woman who seemed determined to find fault in everything I did. You know, Beatrice continued, adjusting her designer reading glasses, Emily learned all my preferences years ago. She has such attention to detail, just like me. Maybe you could ask her for some tips. She paused, looking at her phone. Oh, Emily just texted me pictures of the organic vegetables she bought for my next soup. Isn't she thoughtful? My hands gripped the soup bowl a little tighter. At 32, I'd spent over a decade as a cardiac care nurse, saving actual lives, but apparently I couldn't be trusted to make soup for one particularly picky patient. The irony wasn't lost on me that just last week, I'd successfully handled a code blue situation at work, but here I was, being lectured about the proper thickness of carrot slices. I glanced at the family photos lining Beatrice's kitchen walls. Emily's perfect smile beamed from at least half of them, while the single photo of Ben and me from our wedding was tucked away in a corner, partially hidden behind a potted plant. Even that placement had been a battle, with Beatrice insisting it disrupted the flow of her photo arrangement. The sound of the garage door opening made my heart leap. Ben was home early from work, and I desperately needed to see a friendly face. But before I could even turn around, Beatrice was already calling out, "Oh, that must be Emily. She mentioned she might stop by today. Clara, dear, why don't you go warm up some of that herbal tea Emily brought last week? She knows exactly how I like it served." I took a deep breath and counted to 10, something I'd been doing a lot lately. The past 3 weeks had been a masterclass in patience, with Beatrice's constant comparisons to Emily serving as daily reminders that I would never quite measure up to her standards of perfection. The footsteps in the garage belonged to Ben, not Emily. My husband's tired face appeared in the doorway, and I watched Beatrice's smile fade slightly when she realized it wasn't her daughter. "Hi, Mom," Ben said, kissing Beatrice's cheek. "How are you feeling today?" He moved to give me a quick hug, but I stiffened slightly, still stinging from the soup incident. "Oh, I'm managing," Beatrice sighed dramatically. "Though it would be so much better if Emily could be here more often. She just has such a natural touch with these things." She brightened suddenly, reaching for her phone. "Look at these lovely vegetables she's buying for me. Clara, dear, you really should take notes." Ben shot me a concerned look. He knew what today was supposed to be. We'd been planning our anniversary dinner for months. Instead, I was here, being compared to his sister for the 100th time. "Actually, Mom," Ben started, "Clara's been here every day for 3 weeks. Maybe it's time Emily took a turn? Clara hasn't had a full night's sleep in her own bed since your surgery." Beatrice waved her hand dismissively. "Oh, but Emily's so busy with her interior design business. She can't possibly take time off like Clara can. Besides, Clara's a nurse. This is what she does, isn't it?" "What I do," I finally spoke up, my voice trembling slightly, "is work in cardiac care at Memorial Hospital. I save lives, Beatrice. I don't actually spend my days cutting carrots to exact specifications." The kitchen fell silent. Ben placed his hand on my shoulder, but I shrugged it off. 3 weeks of bottled-up frustration were threatening to spill over. "I moved in here to help you recover," I continued, fighting to keep my voice steady. "I used my vacation days, rescheduled my shifts, and canceled our anniversary plans. I've been here every single day, while Emily drops by once a week with organic vegetables and fancy tea." Beatrice's face darkened. Well, when Emily visits, she doesn't make me feel guilty about it. Perhaps if you paid more attention to what she does right instead of being jealous. Jealous. The word hit me like a slap. I'm not jealous of Emily's weekly visits or her organic vegetables, Beatrice. I'm exhausted. I'm frustrated. And I'm done pretending that this situation is okay. Ben stepped between us, clearly uncomfortable with the mounting tension. Mom, Clara's right. This isn't fair. Emily needs to step up and help more. Well, I never. Beatrice clutched her chest dramatically. After everything I've done for Clara, accepting her into our family despite her ordinary background. And now she turns my own son against me. I grabbed my purse from the counter, hands shaking. I'm going home, Ben. I need some space. Before anyone could respond, I was already heading for the door. But who will take care of me? Beatrice called out, her voice rising in panic. Emily has that charity gala this weekend, and her design consultation next week. I turned back one last time. Why don't you call Emily right now? Tell her that her mother needs her. See what happens. The drive home was a blur of angry tears and phone notifications. Emily was blowing up our family group chat, claiming she was devastated by my abandonment of her mother. Ben sent several private messages asking me to come back, saying we could work this out. At home, I took the first real shower I'd had in weeks, one where I wasn't rushing to answer Beatrice's constant calls for assistance. I changed into my own comfortable clothes, not the practical nursing outfits I'd been living in. Just as I was settling onto our couch with a glass of wine, my phone rang. It was Emily. Clara, how could you just leave Mom like that? Emily's voice dripped with manufactured concern. She's family. I took a long sip of wine before responding. Funny, I've been thinking about family a lot lately, Emily. Specifically, how some family members show up for 3 weeks straight, while others manage 45 minutes on Sundays. You know how busy I am. I have clients who depend on me, Emily protested. Besides, you're a nurse. This is literally your job. No, Emily. My job is at Memorial Hospital, where I work 50-hour weeks in cardiac care. What I've been doing for your mother is called being family, and it's supposed to be a shared responsibility. Well, Emily's voice turned sugary sweet. If you can't handle it, I suppose I could try to move some things around. Maybe next week. Actually, I interrupted, your mother needs someone tonight. Right now. She needs help getting up the stairs, taking her evening medications, and preparing for bed. Can you go over? The line went quiet for a moment. Tonight? Oh, I couldn't possibly. I have a client presentation to prepare for tomorrow, and… That's what I thought, I said quietly. You know, Emily, for 3 weeks I've listened to Beatrice sing your praises. How you bring the perfect tea, cut the perfect carrots, choose the perfect organic vegetables. But where are you when she needs help showering? Where are you during those long nights when her hip pain keeps her awake? That's not fair. Emily sputtered. I'm doing my best. No, you're doing what's convenient. There's a difference. I felt a strange calm settle over me. So here's what's going to happen. Either you step up and take your turn caring for your mother, or we can all stop pretending that bringing fancy tea once a week makes you Daughter of the Year. The next few days were surprisingly quiet. Ben told me Emily had made excuses about work commitments, leaving Beatrice to rely on a hastily arranged home health aide. I spent my time catching up on sleep and returning to my normal hospital shifts, ignoring the guilt-laden messages from Beatrice. Then came the call I'd been expecting. It was late evening, almost a week after I'd left. Clara. Beatrice's voice was small, nothing like her usual commanding tone. The age, she's not working out. She doesn't understand my needs like you do. I sat down on my couch, steeling myself. Have you called Emily? She's not answering her phone, Beatrice admitted. She texted that she's swamped with a big project. I thought maybe you could. No, I said firmly but not unkindly. I can't come back right now, Beatrice. But you're my daughter-in-law, she protested weakly. Yes, I am. And for 3 weeks, I was there every day, doing everything I could to help you recover. But all I heard was how Emily does everything better, even though she barely shows up. There was a long pause on the other end. When Beatrice spoke again, her voice was thick with tears. I've been horrible to you, haven't I? You have, I agreed. And it hurt. A lot. I think I've always felt guilty about Emily, Beatrice confessed, her voice wavering. After her father and I divorced, she stayed with him. She chose him. I tell myself it was because of his money, his connections, but… She paused, sniffling. Maybe I wasn't a good enough mother. I sank deeper into my couch, feeling the tight knot in my chest begin to loosen. This was a side of Beatrice I'd never seen before. So when Emily does show up, even just for those brief visits, she continued, I overcompensate. I praise everything she does, hoping she'll want to come back more often. And in the process, I've been absolutely awful to you, the one who actually shows up, who actually cares. Beatrice, I said softly, Emily's choices aren't your fault. And making me feel inadequate won't make her more present in your life. I know that now, she replied. The past few days, lying here alone, I've had plenty of time to think. The aide is competent, but she's not you. She doesn't ask about my garden, or remember which mysteries I like to watch, or laugh at my terrible jokes about hospital food. I felt tears welling up in my own eyes. Those carrots weren't really too thick, were they? For the first time in weeks, I heard Beatrice's genuine laugh. No, dear. The soup was perfect. I was just being a spiteful old woman. You're not that old, I said, smiling despite myself. Clara, she said, her voice serious again. I'm not asking you to come back. I don't deserve that. But I am asking for your forgiveness, and maybe a chance to be a better mother-in-law. I think we can work on that, I said, wiping away a tear. But first, we need to set some boundaries. And Emily needs to do her part. The next day, Ben organized a family meeting. Emily showed up late, clutching her designer handbag and looking annoyed. Beatrice, to my surprise, didn't immediately light up at her daughter's arrival. Emily, Beatrice said firmly, you need to take 2 days a week to help with my recovery. Not 45 minutes on Sundays, not fancy tea deliveries. Real help. Emily's perfectly plucked eyebrows shot up. Mom, you know I can't possibly. Yes, you can, Beatrice interrupted. I've watched Clara rearrange her entire life to help me, while you've done nothing but criticize from the sidelines. That stops now. I watched Emily's face cycle through shock, anger, and finally shame. I didn't realize. No, you didn't, Ben said quietly. Because you weren't here to see it. We worked out a schedule. I would help 3 days a week, Emily would take 2, and Ben would cover weekends. The home health aide would fill in the gaps. For the first time in weeks, I felt like I could breathe. That evening, as I was gathering my things to head home, Beatrice called me back. Clara. She held out a small wrapped package. Happy belated anniversary. Inside was a framed photo, not one of Emily's perfectly staged portraits, but a candid shot of Ben and me at last year's family barbecue, laughing at something off camera. And it wasn't hidden behind any plants. I'm putting it right here, Beatrice said, pointing to the center of her photo wall. Where it belongs. That was 6 months ago. Beatrice's recovery progressed steadily, though not without hiccups. Emily actually showed up for most of her assigned days, though she complained constantly about her disrupted schedule. The difference was, now Beatrice didn't rush to soothe her or praise her minimal efforts. Last week, during one of my regular visits, now just for coffee, not care, Beatrice surprised me by pulling out an old photo album. I want to show you something, she said, flipping to a worn page. This was me right after my divorce. Emily was 12. The photo showed a younger Beatrice, standing alone at what looked like Emily's middle school graduation. The smile on her face was forced, her eyes sad. I spent 20 years trying to buy Emily's love with praise and permission to treat everyone around her poorly, Beatrice said quietly. Including you. But you know what? The only real love I've felt has come from the people who show up, who do the hard things, who stay even when it's not convenient. She reached for my hand. Thank you for not giving up on me, even when I gave you every reason to. I squeezed her hand back. That's what real family does. Later that evening, as Ben and I were getting ready for bed, he wrapped his arms around me from behind. You know what Mom said to me yesterday? He murmured against my hair. What's that? She said she finally has the daughter she always wanted. He paused. She meant you. I smiled, thinking of the photo now prominently displayed on Beatrice's wall. Sometimes the family you choose and the ones who choose you back are the ones that matter most. And my carrots? They're still too thick sometimes. But now we just laugh about it over coffee like real family should.